Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I want to take you on a journey that begins not in a boardroom, not in a laboratory, but in the quiet, invisible chambers of the human heart. You see, there is a force that transcends logic, a force that science can measure but never fully explain, and it is the same force that compels us to act, to create, to reach across the cosmos, and to reach across the distance that separates us from the ones we love. I stand here tonight to talk about that force, that drive, that ultimate expression of human will and connection. My love, I'm sending my team to bring you home tonight. And while those words may seem simple, even poetic, they embody a complexity of thought, emotion, and scientific reality that is worth unpacking. Consider for a moment the human brain, the most complex structure in the known universe. Each of us carries a universe within our skulls, with approximately 86 billion neurons firing, connecting, and recalibrating every millisecond. These neurons are not just processing data, they are interpreting experience, shaping emotion, and creating a reality that is uniquely ours. And yet, in the presence of love, something extraordinary happens. The brain's chemistry shifts. Oxytocin floods our systems, dopamine spikes in anticipation, and even the prefrontal cortex, the seat of reason and logic, aligns with the emotional imperative. Science has shown that love is not just a feeling. It is an active neurological state that rewires priorities, redirects energy, and demands action. Sending a team to bring someone home isn't just romantic. It is the biological and psychological culmination of a system designed to act in the service of connection. I recall a story from years ago, observing a colleague who had dedicated his life to space exploration. His wife had fallen gravely ill, and for weeks he was paralyzed by the tension between duty and love. In his mind, missions, deadlines, and scientific goals battled the primal, ancient instinct to protect and reunite with the person who mattered most. And yet, when he finally acted, coordinating, mobilizing, and bridging every resource he had to bring her home safely, it wasn't just logistical brilliance. It was human intelligence in its purest form, driven by the deep, non-negotiable calculus of love. In essence, when love commands action, the mind and body respond in ways that exceed the ordinary thresholds of problem solving. Now, let's think about this on a systemic scale. Sending a team to bring someone home is not a metaphor. It is a multi-layered orchestration of strategy, planning, risk management, and emotional intelligence. Each team member, each resource, each small decision mirrors the neural connectivity we see in the brain. Just as neurons communicate through synapses, coordinating the flow of ions and electrical impulses, human teams communicate through trust, shared objectives, and aligned values. A team functioning in harmony with a purpose driven by love is analogous to a brain optimized for peak performance. It is emergent behavior. When individual units synchronize with a higher intent, the result is exponential, sometimes miraculous. Emotion, however, is the thread that weaves this all together. It is one thing to deploy resources, to plan meticulously, to calculate probabilities. It is another entirely to recognize the emotional imperative, to acknowledge that at the heart of every strategic decision is a human being whose well-being matters. Neuroscience tells us that empathy is not a mere nicety. It is a survival mechanism, a signal amplifier that enables us to prioritize effectively, even under conditions of extreme uncertainty. When we act in love, our cognitive systems reallocate resources, heightening attention, sharpening intuition, and enhancing problem solving. In practical terms, this is why love can catalyze extraordinary feats. We have countless examples: parents navigating impossible challenges to save a child, friends traversing oceans to deliver comfort, leaders shifting entire organizations to respond to crises with humanity and urgency. Love, in essence, is both the algorithm and the energy source. But let us not romanticize without acknowledging the gravity. Acting in love is not without risk. Coordinating a team, mobilizing resources, and navigating the unpredictability of life requires courage, foresight, and resilience. It is, in many ways, akin to launching a spacecraft into the void. The trajectory must be precise, contingencies anticipated, variables managed. One miscalculation can result in failure. Yet, unlike rockets and circuits, the stakes here are entirely human. And herein lies a profound lesson: love, when paired with disciplined action, creates outcomes that exceed the sum of their parts. It is simultaneously fragile and unstoppable, personal and universal, intimate and expansive. To illustrate further, I want to highlight the role of timing. Neuroscientists have studied how temporal dynamics affect decision making and action. The brain is exquisitely sensitive to time windows for optimal performance, to moments when readiness aligns with opportunity. When you say, "I'm sending my team to bring you home tonight," there is a temporal specificity embedded within the promise. It is not an abstract intent. It is a calibrated action in the present, leveraging immediacy to optimize success. In the universe, timing is everything, whether it is launching a rocket, executing a maneuver, or simply arriving when it matters most. Love, in this sense, is the ultimate synchronizer, aligning human systems across time and space for a singular purpose. We must also consider the physics of distance and separation, for love does not operate in a vacuum. In our interconnected yet fragmented world, distance is both physical and emotional. It generates stress, uncertainty, and tension. Yet, neuroscience demonstrates that proximity, or even the anticipation of it, activates reward circuits in the brain. This is why the act of sending a team, orchestrating logistics, and ensuring a safe return is not just practical, it is profoundly symbolic. It signals to the brain, to the body, and to the soul that connection will be restored, that the pattern of attachment is maintained, that the fundamental human need for relational security is honored. There is also a deep lesson here about the integration of technology and human intention. In the modern world, our tools, communication systems, transportation, data analytics allow us to execute what was once impossible. But technology alone is inert. It is the human mind driven by emotion and insight that gives purpose and direction. A team sent in love is a fusion of advanced capability and heartfelt intent. Every message, every coordination, every strategic adjustment is amplified by the emotional imperative. In other words, love is not anti-rational, it is meta-rational, leveraging reason and innovation to achieve the highest human good. And yet, despite all the science, the strategy, the technology, the most compelling truth remains profoundly simple: love moves us because it makes us fully human. The neurons, the oxytocin, the dopamine spikes, all of it is a reflection of a deeper truth. When someone matters to us, we act, we mobilize, we innovate, we overcome obstacles that previously seemed insurmountable. It is the same mechanism that drives exploration, invention, and discovery. We send teams to Mars, to the deepest oceans, to the farthest reaches of understanding, and we send teams to bring home those we love, because the underlying engine is identical, purposeful, directed, unstoppable energy generated by human connection. Let me share a personal reflection. There was a night when I felt the weight of separation acutely. Someone I deeply cared for was far away, and I could feel the tension in every fiber of my being. I could have waited passively, allowing time and circumstance to dictate outcomes. But instead, I realized that inaction is the enemy of love. Action, no matter how calculated, no matter how complex, is the affirmation that what matters to us matters enough to move the world. We mobilized resources, coordinated efforts, and acted with precision. The result was not merely the reunion, it was the transformation of despair into hope, fear into confidence, distance into presence. And that, at its core, is the power of human agency guided by love. Now let's delve into a deeper understanding of risk and reward in the context of love. Life is inherently uncertain. Every action carries potential for failure, but neuroscience shows that the brain evaluates risk not only in terms of survival, but also in terms of social and emotional consequence. When the brain perceives that the reward, emotional connection, relational security, mutual fulfillment, far outweighs the potential cost, it mobilizes extraordinary resources, heightened attention, strategic foresight, and problem-solving creativity. Sending a team to bring someone home tonight is a perfect manifestation of this principle. It is the conscious leveraging of our highest cognitive and emotional faculties in the service of love. we cannot ignore the lessons of persistence. In human behavior, persistence is not merely repetitive action, it is the iterative alignment of intent and effort. Each obstacle encountered is not a deterrent but a signal, prompting recalibration, innovation, and adaptation. History and personal experience are replete with examples: explorers crossing deserts, scientists overcoming repeated failures, parents enduring every conceivable hardship to protect and reunite with their children. Love, when fused with persistence, creates a trajectory that is nearly unstoppable because the underlying drive is both emotional and neurological, self-reinforcing and infinitely motivating. Furthermore, consider the narrative we construct in our minds. Humans are storytelling creatures. We do not merely react to events, we interpret them, assign meaning, and shape our behaviors accordingly. Saying, "I'm sending my team to bring you home tonight," creates a narrative that is both declarative and performative. It is a statement of intent that shapes not only reality but expectation, perception, and psychological readiness. Neuroscience confirms that when individuals anticipate reunification, neural circuits involved in reward motivation and emotional regulation are activated, increasing the likelihood of positive outcomes. In essence, our words, our promises, and our intentions are not trivial. They are acts of neuropsychological engineering designed to optimize connection and success. And yet, all of this brings us to a humbling realization: love is not a problem to be solved, nor a puzzle to be decoded. It is a dynamic system, a living process that challenges our intellect, tests our patience, and amplifies our humanity. To send a team in love is not merely to act, it is to participate in the grand, chaotic, beautiful system that is life itself. Every plan, every coordination, every technological aid is subordinate to the underlying imperative: connection, care, presence. It is at once scientific, strategic, and profoundly spiritual. Finally, I invite you to reflect on the universal lesson embedded in these words: love demands action. It calls forth courage, intelligence, and creativity. It synchronizes minds, mobilizes teams, and navigates uncertainty. It transforms ordinary human systems into extraordinary mechanisms of purpose and hope. When we act in love, we are not merely solving a problem, we are affirming the highest ideals of our humanity. "My love, I'm sending my team to bring you home tonight," is not just a declaration. It is a testament to the infinite capacity of the human mind and heart to align, innovate, and persevere in service of what truly matters. And so, as we leave this moment together, I urge you to recognize the power you carry within you, to act with intention, to mobilize your resources, to transcend fear and distance, and to honor the bonds that define you. Love is not passive. It is not theoretical. It is actionable, measurable, and transformative. It is a force that drives innovation, shapes strategy, and propels us toward outcomes that would be impossible in its absence. And in that recognition, we find the truth of our existence. We are here to connect, to act, to reunite, and to honor the bonds that make us whole. Tonight, the journey begins, the team moves, and the promise is fulfilled, not just in logistics or strategy, but in the deepest recesses of the human soul. We act because it is right, we act because it matters, and we act because love, in its purest, most electrifying form, demands nothing less than our full presence, our total commitment, and our relentless pursuit of reunion and connection. As we consider the practical implications of this force, it's important to recognize the interconnectedness of every decision, every movement, and every emotion. Sending a team to bring someone home tonight is not simply a physical endeavor, it is a multidimensional operation encompassing cognitive strategy, emotional intelligence, logistical precision, and moral clarity. Think about it like this: the universe operates on interdependent systems, from the orbit of planets to the flow of neurons. Each component responds to forces, feedback loops, and relational dynamics. Human action driven by love is no different. Each person involved, every hand, every mind, every intention is a node in a vast network. The better we understand the system, the more effectively we can mobilize it to achieve outcomes that honor the deeply human imperative of connection. I want to take a moment to talk about resilience, Because no discussion of love in action is complete without acknowledging the obstacles that inevitably arise. Neuroscience shows that the human brain responds to adversity not merely with stress, but with a spectrum of adaptive responses. Cortisol spikes, adrenaline surges, focus sharpens, and the mind begins to prioritize pathways towards solution rather than distraction. When you are faced with separation from someone you love, the natural instinct might be to retreat, to hesitate, to wait for circumstances to improve. But true resilience is not passive. It is proactive. It is the conscious choice to marshal resources, organize support, and navigate uncertainty with clarity and purpose. Sending a team tonight is an embodiment of that resilience, a deliberate, structured, and courageous act that refuses to let circumstances dictate outcomes. Let's also examine the ethical dimensions of such action. Love is not simply a feeling, it is a responsibility. To act in love is to recognize the moral weight of our decisions, the ripple effects of our intentions, and the accountability we hold toward those who depend on us. Mobilizing a team is therefore not just a demonstration of affection, it is a demonstration of stewardship, foresight, and integrity. Every step, every coordination, every calculated risk is a reflection of our values and of the understanding that the well-being of another human being is inseparable from the choices we make. In other words, love is not an abstract virtue. It is an applied science, a moral calculus that requires rigor, precision, and courage. I am reminded of a case study from disaster response. There was a remote village cut off by floods, with families trapped in homes in isolation, creating both physical and emotional peril. Rescue teams were deployed not merely with equipment, but with the knowledge that each action would profoundly affect human lives. The teams coordinated with astonishing precision, combining technology, psychology, and logistical insight. And yet, what made the difference was the human imperative, the empathetic understanding that failure was not just a technical problem, but a personal one. Love, in its broadest sense, drove the success of that mission. The parallels are clear when we send a team to bring someone home. We are leveraging the same principles: systems thinking, emotional intelligence, technical capability, and moral clarity in the service of an outcome that transcends the ordinary. Another crucial aspect to understand is the role of anticipation in human cognition. Neuroscience demonstrates that the brain responds not only to current stimuli, but to the expectation of future outcomes. The act of anticipating reunion with a loved one triggers reward circuits, primes decision-making systems, and optimizes our problem-solving faculties. When we act in anticipation, we are effectively aligning our cognitive machinery with our deepest values. By sending a team tonight, we are not merely reacting to separation. We are proactively shaping the trajectory of connection, activating neural and systemic pathways that increase the probability of success. This is not just romantic. It is a scientifically validated approach to human performance under emotionally charged conditions. We must also recognize the subtlety of coordination. A team operating under the imperative of love must balance independence with cohesion. Each member brings unique expertise, experience, and perspective. Yet, without synchronization, without the shared understanding of purpose, even the most capable individuals can fail. Neuroscience teaches us that synchronized neural activity enhances group performance, just as synchronized human action amplifies collective capability. By aligning minds, bodies, and intentions toward a singular goal, bringing someone home tonight, we create a dynamic that is exponentially more effective than any individual effort. It is emergent intelligence, a system greater than the sum of its parts, driven by clarity of purpose, emotional alignment, and unwavering commitment. And here is a profound insight: love is also a teacher. It reveals our limitations, challenges our assumptions, and demands that we operate beyond our comfort zones. When we commit to action in love, we engage every part of ourselves, cognitive, emotional, and ethical. We test the boundaries of patience, courage, and creativity. And in doing so, we expand the capacity of our own humanity. Every obstacle overcome, every coordination achieved, every uncertainty navigated is not merely a logistical success, it is a personal evolution. Sending a team to bring someone home tonight is therefore not just a physical act, it is a transformative process that elevates everyone involved. Finally, let us consider the universality of this principle. Across cultures, across eras, across the spectrum of human experience, love has always been a driver of extraordinary action. It has propelled explorers to unknown lands, scientists to uncharted discoveries, parents to unimaginable sacrifice, and friends to unfathomable feats of courage. The pattern is consistent. Love mobilizes intelligence, energizes willpower, and catalyzes innovation. When we declare, "I'm sending my team to bring you home tonight," we are participating in a lineage of human action that transcends time and place, a testament to the enduring power of connection, commitment, and care. And so, as we stand here together, I ask you to reflect on the force you carry within you, to act with purpose, to leverage intellect and emotion, to mobilize every resource at your disposal in the service of those you love. To understand that action is not optional. It is the natural consequence of feeling deeply, thinking clearly, and committing fully. To recognize that love is not abstract, it is practical, measurable, and transformational. It is the energy that drives our best work, our deepest insights, and our most courageous acts. Tonight, as the team moves, as plans unfold, as distance collapses and connection is restored, we witness not just the reunion of individuals, but the affirmation of the human spirit. We see the convergence of science and emotion, intellect and heart, strategy and care. We see the undeniable truth that love, when paired with action, is unstoppable, and that the human capacity to bring others home, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, is the most profound testament to our shared humanity. And so, with every calculation, every coordination, every intention aligned toward this singular purpose, I send this message into the world: act boldly in love, mobilize with precision, and honor the relationships that define your life. The universe rewards initiative. The brain rewards intention. The soul demands connection. Tonight, the team moves. Tonight, love acts. And tonight, what matters most is brought home. And as we consider what it means to act in love, we must acknowledge the subtle, almost imperceptible forces that guide human behavior. Every heartbeat, every glance, every silent decision is informed by complex systems within us, our nervous systems, endocrine responses, and cognitive frameworks, all working in concert to prioritize what matters most. Sending a team to bring someone home tonight is, in essence, a deliberate harmonization of these forces. It is the conscious application of knowledge, empathy, and strategy, demonstrating that the human mind is not only capable of incredible feats in the laboratory or the boardroom, but also in matters of the heart. We also must recognize the role of hope, which is more than an emotional state. It is a neurological phenomenon. Neuroscientists have found that hope activates prefrontal pathways associated with planning, persistence, and problem solving. Hope doesn't wait passively, it primes the brain for action. By mobilizing a team, we are giving form and structure to hope, converting anticipation into tangible steps, uncertainty into calculated pathways, and desire into achievable reality. Hope becomes an engine, and love becomes the fuel. Together, they propel human endeavor in ways that are both measurable and profoundly moving. Let me share another observation from human experience. Often, the greatest achievements occur not despite fear, but because of it. Fear is an accelerant of focus, a sharpening tool for strategy. When we feel the threat of separation, when the stakes of connection are high, fear triggers heightened vigilance, superior memory recall, and accelerated decision-making. Sending a team to bring someone home is an act of courage, but it is also an act of intelligence, one that leverages the natural neurochemical responses we experience in high-stakes situations. In other words, the same systems that protect us in danger also enable us to act decisively in love. Fear and love, paradoxically, are intertwined, each enhancing the other when guided by purpose. And what about memory? The human brain stores experiences not just as data, but as emotional imprints. The anticipation of reunion, the effort to coordinate action, the awareness that someone we cherish is awaiting our return, all of these become deeply encoded, forming a narrative that strengthens attachment and reinforces behavior. This is why action in love is self-reinforcing. Each step taken, each decision made, each challenge overcome builds not only the path to success, but also the resilience and capacity of those involved. Sending a team tonight is therefore both a present act and an investment in the future, the creation of memories, trust, and neural patterns that will endure far beyond the immediate reunion. Consider also the philosophy of intention. In complex systems, intention is a critical determinant of outcome. Quantum physics teaches us that observation affects reality. In human systems, intention similarly shapes possibility. By consciously deciding to act, by sending a team tonight, we collapse the realm of potential into reality. We harness the full bandwidth of human capability, creativity, coordination, intuition, empathy, and focus it on a single, meaningful objective. This is not just romantic sentimentality. It is an actionable principle of both neuroscience and leadership. Purpose, aligned with emotion and strategy, produces outcomes that are both extraordinary and inevitable. And let us not overlook the role of communication. In every team, every network, every coordinated effort, clarity of communication is the linchpin of success. Neuroscience tells us that ambiguity triggers stress, slows decision-making, and increases the probability of error. But clarity, particularly when paired with empathy and shared understanding, accelerates problem-solving, enhances collaboration, and optimizes outcomes. Saying, "I'm sending my team to bring you home tonight," is a message of clarity, commitment, and intent. It communicates not only logistics but emotional reality. It tells the brain, the heart, and the soul that connection will be restored, that plans are in motion, and that every resource is aligned toward a single purpose. We can also examine the social dimension. Humans are inherently relational beings. Social neuroscience shows that our brains are wired for cooperation, empathy, and mutual support. Acting in love taps into these social circuits, mobilizing not just individual effort, but collective intelligence. Every team member becomes part of a dynamic network, each action reinforcing the other, each insight contributing to the shared goal. Sending a team is therefore not merely the act of one person. It is the orchestration of a human ecosystem, a living system optimized for the restoration of connection. It is both science and art, both rational and deeply human. And so, as this team moves tonight, let us reflect on what is truly happening. This is not a simple reunion. It is the manifestation of human potential at its finest, the integration of intellect, emotion, strategy, and empathy into purposeful action. It is a demonstration that the human mind, when guided by love, is capable of extraordinary feats. It is a lesson that even in an uncertain world, even across distances that seem insurmountable, connection is not only possible, it is inevitable when pursued with clarity, courage, and commitment. Tonight, as plans unfold and distance collapses, the world bears witness not just to action but to meaning. Every choice, every step, every coordinated effort is a declaration of values that relationships matter, that presence matters, that human life is precious and worth every ounce of ingenuity and energy we can muster. My love, I'm sending my team to bring you home tonight is more than a statement. It is a blueprint for human excellence, a testament to the capacity of the mind and heart when aligned with purpose. And so, we act not for glory, not for recognition, but because it is right. We act because it matters. We act because love is the force that animates our best thinking, our deepest courage, and our most enduring commitment. In this act, we see the essence of humanity, the refusal to be passive, the drive to overcome obstacles, the courage to risk, and the wisdom to act in service of what truly matters. As the night unfolds and the team moves, we are reminded that the universe responds to action, that the mind is optimized for purpose, and that the heart, our deepest guide, always knows the path home. Love is not theoretical. Love is not passive. Love is measurable, actionable, and transformative. And when we align every resource, every neuron, every intention with the imperative to reconnect, we discover the truth that no distance is too great, no challenge too daunting, and no obstacle too formidable. And so, as we close this reflection together, I leave you with this: act boldly, act with purpose, act with love. Mobilize, coordinate, and commit, because in doing so, you are not merely achieving outcomes, you are embodying the highest potential of what it means to be human. Tonight, the team moves. Tonight, connection is restored. Tonight, love acts. And in that act, the universe itself bends to the power of the human heart, aligned with human intelligence.